Welcome to another episode of Racing to Learn.
We are a non-profit to get kids excited about math and science.
Yeah, we're a nonprofit that gets kids excited about math and science. We've got our Arrma Fury BLX on the bench today, and we're going to be doing some work on it during our previous run in the park. The wheels lost power, so you could hear the motor still spinning, no power to the wheels. That is a common problem with many RCs. Actually, we just diagnosed a friend's new Stampede 4x4, and same issue, right? You can hear the motor spinning, but the wheels are not moving. And so the most common problem that causes that is a loose pinion gear. Okay, can we put this over here? Yeah, you can put it on this side of the bench. All right, so the most common problem would be a loose pinion gear. So we're gonna go ahead and get the gear cover off of that. And you can check out all the videos for this truck in the video description. There is a playlist link to a full breakdown of this truck, our thoughts. It's a pretty durable truck. You know, this Arrma Fury is a couple years old. We bought it used, and what makes this truck unique is the dual. They call it the twin vertical plate chassis here. So there's these two metal plates on both of the chassis. This is a common design feature, approach with, I shouldn't say common because it's not so common anymore, but with a lot of the monster trucks, like it was popularized by the HPI Savage series of trucks. So the pros are that all the force when the truck lands, oh, here we go, it is a loose pinion gear. But more about that twin vertical plate before we get to the pinion gear. So, you know, these vertical plates, when the truck lands like this, all the force is being transferred up this way, right, from the wheels to the suspension. So all that force has to go through. You know, the force is going in this direction. You've got this whole I guess thickness of this plate taking that force, versus if this were flipped 90 degrees and it was flat, you'd have a very thin layer of metal or whatever material the chassis is made of, handling that bending force, right? So that's the benefit of the twin vertical plate chassis. They actually switched this over to plastic later on in the Arrma two-wheel drive series. The Fury, the Granite. They've got I forgot the name of the stadium truck, but all of Arrma's two-wheel drives use the same chassis. Sometimes it'll be a little longer. In the case of this truck, this is a short course truck. Sometimes it'll be a little shorter in wheelbase for the Granite. There's also the Raider, which is like a desert buggy. They all share the same chassis, but they did away with the metal probably because of cost reductions. And actually, you don't really need it. We've never broken a two-wheel drive chassis. We've seen other people do it with the Stampede, the Traxxas Stampede, also the ECX two-wheel drive. But it actually takes a lot of force. Like you've got to take a really big jump and just totally miss it, or botch a jump, or crash into something at an insane speed. We've crashed our ECX two-wheel drives, our Slashes, at 35 miles an hour into solid fences or walls, and they haven't broken. The chassis hasn't broken. Other parts like the front suspension have, but we've never broken a chassis yet, because especially nowadays, back in the day when before fiber reinforced nylon or just stronger plastics were being used in these chassis, you could conceivably break a chassis, but it would take a lot of force. Now the chassis are even stronger, right? You've got plastic chassis in the X-Max even, right? And the Traxxas Max. These are big trucks. The first generation Revo was plastic. That had some issues with it, but they've resolved those with the second generation, and also just the X Max, just better reinforced plastics and better design, right? Using computer programs for simulation like SolidWorks, like Fusion 360 from Autodesk. You're actually able to calculate the forces being put on these vehicles, and you can calculate that given the mass of the vehicle, the acceleration, right? That mass force equals mass times acceleration, for those that haven't taken physics yet. So the mass of the vehicle and the force, like the speed, will determine the mass and the acceleration. I'm sorry. Mass times acceleration equals force. So you know that this truck can accelerate at a given pace given the electronics and the basically the electronics, the amount of power that this can put off, will tell you how fast it can go, either up or down, and then consequently you can calculate the forces. All those programs can do very sophisticated simulations and just tell you how thick chassis needs to be out of what material. So back to the pinion gear here. You can see what happened. It just totally fell off, right? This just completely shifted, and that's why we lost power. Fortunately, the spur gear here is not damaged, right? Fortunately, that gear just went this way instead of the motor slipping and chewing up the gear. So we've got no problems here. We can go ahead and put this back on. Nice thing about the Arrmas, the BLXs at least, I don't know if they've brought this this feature down to the brushed Arrmas, but you can see that this is a really thick and beefy gear. This is a 32-bit pitch gear, so a lot thicker than the gear that comes on some of the Traxxas two-wheel drives, which is a 48 pitch. So the lower the number, the bigger the teeth on the gear. So you can see these nice beefy gears that come from the factory. We did have to break this car down to fix up the differential, which gave out at some point. That's why we're not running 2.8-inch monster truck tires like we usually do on our vehicles. We're staying with just smaller short course tires because less mass equals less forces on the transmission, right? It just helps to preserve to extend the life of the differential, because this was kind of a pain to get into. That's the thing with the twin vertical plate chassis used in these, actually used in any vehicle, is that they're not as easy to service, not as easy to get to the differential and other components in this truck. Like even getting to the servo, I've got to take apart these reinforcements. To get to the differential, we had to take apart this whole rear cage configuration. We've got a whole series on the breakdown there of the transmission and the rear half of this car. But this fortunately is an easy fix. We'll just get some thread lock. We usually thread lock all of our metal on metal screws here, so not sure what happened here. Yeah, there's definitely thread lock on this. Maybe we just didn't have enough thread lock. So I'm gonna loosen this screw a little bit. Yeah, you can see the remnants of the thread lock in the inside of the bore of that pinion gear. So not sure what happened, but regardless, we'll grab some thread lock here, put a drop on the pinion, and this truck will be back in action here. One other thing was that we've got some debris getting into the speed control, and the fan's making a funny noise. I don't know if the fan's about to give out, but you could see this piece of dried grass in here. Alright, so putting Pinion back on, probably for many of you watching, is fairly straightforward, but for the folks new to this channel, you just have to line it up with the flat spot on the motor. I don't have to reset the mesh on this because the can of the motor did not move. So I just need to slot in the gear and then line it up so that the gears are flush, and then make sure that the gear is lining up, or the grub screw here, that small screw, is lining up with the flat spot on the motor. And then we'll just tighten this down. So you'll want to give the thread lock some time to set, to dry. There's a little crud from the leftover thread lock there. We'll just clean that off. Other nice thing about these Arrma two-wheel drives is that the gear cover goes on with just 2 screws. One of the annoyances of the Traxxas two-wheel drives is that you have to remove the wheel and tire to get to the motor cover screws, which fortunately is not the case with the Fury. Another nice thing about the Fury and all the Traxxas two-wheel drive vehicles is that it has a metal mounting plate here. So you can see this probably better from this angle, but it's got a metal mounting plate that not only dissipates heat from the motor, it acts as a heat sink, but it's a lot stronger, right? It won't flex on you like the plastic motor plates that Traxxas has. Also ECX, the ECX two-wheel drive vehicles have a plastic mounting plate or surface just right off of the transmission case. We haven't had as much of a problem with the ECX ones as the Traxxas ones, though. Even that benefits, even the ECX two-wheel drives benefit from a more modern design. Kind of a testament to Traxxas marketing and product that they've been able to keep their two-wheel drive vehicles pretty much more or less the same for the last 20 plus years. But there we go. We've got this truck back. We're gonna keep an eye on that fan, just making weird noises. We might actually be able to replace this fan. Looks like these 4 screws come off the top here. But we're gonna get this truck back on the road. We were considering changing these tires, but they've still got fairly good tread left on them. So we'll see how this does in the grass and dirt. Let us know what you guys think of videos like this. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you next time. Thanks again for watching.